Okay, welcome back. This is take two because I had a little mistake with my audio, so I have to do it all over again. But you didn't need to hear about that. You just want to hear about the game. So let me go over it nice and quick. We have a compass system now, so that we'll more easily be able to navigate ourselves through the world. And that's very lovely. Just a placeholder, as with everything at the moment. So very happy about that. Found a couple of errors while I was working on it, while I was recording the first take. So I'll go over that as well, but I'll avoid it for now, just so I don't have to show you too much. But basically the shield is fine, the sword is fine, we can switch to the mace, we have an icon down there that's updating, we can now see our arrows more easily, I think that looks quite nice. One of the errors is that we can still attack while blocking, and I thought that I'd already fixed that, but anyway, apparently not. And if we just jump over here quickly and set the player's current health to 50 and the mana to 25, these are updating. And we have a max health and a max mana, and that can be updated when we pick up items that increase our max health and mana. But the size of the bar won't change. It'll stay nice and neat, tidy down there. And so we have an updating health and mana system now, basically. And what else? Oh, that's right. Let me get rid of this. Let me go again. I'll just show you the other problem really quickly. So the other problem I thought that was fixed was my arrows. So whenever I pick up the arrows, we can't interact with the inventory for some reason. So I still need to make the arrows work properly. That's why I avoided it the first time. But now we can see the name updating nicely, which is wonderful. And the shield updating nicely, and we can still filter through items, which is fine, but we just need to kind of update this, make it look proper and good. And I think that's most of the work I'll be doing tomorrow, is getting the whole journal to update properly. So we'll be able to click here, and we'll be able to see all of our stats. We won't be able to see this. This image that's in the back will be updated. Like, we're going to have just I need to like design an image for each page, basically. But this one will have its own one, and this one will have its own. So the journal is where we'll see our current quest, all of our quests, and our world map, and something else. And over here we're going to have the spell book, and what the spell book's going to do is, if you can imagine, this is all of the lists that we have. We're going to add 4 more lists, or we'll add 3 more lists. So there's going to be a total of 1, 2, 3 lists here, and we'll be able to separate those lists one by one, or view all 3. And then when we click here, we'll view all 3 of the spellbook lists, and the buttons will kind of work the same way, but for the spellbook list. So the spells are basically going to be items in the inventory, but they'll be, you know, like a spell tome that we pick up or something. What else? Yeah, so something I'm a little bit nervous about is getting this thing to work, because this does work, but what I'm thinking about is that when we click on our journal and on our world map, we need to see a pretty version of this that doesn't have just pixels colored with textures, pixels with specific colors, but rather there'll be little images that connect together so that we can see a nice little road and a nice little city and little towns, and a undulating coastline, and a nice picture for the water. And for these areas, I have a feeling that we won't be able to see them at all. And what we'll see is a flashing dot, and the flashing dot will be whichever pixel the player is standing on, or a thing that says you are here, I'm not really sure. And when we discover these ones, then they'll appear. And once we've discovered them, we will know the name of that location. And so when we scroll our mouse over it, we should be able to see the name of that place, and the name of that place, and so on. Because the thing that I was a bit nervous about quite worried about was, now that I have a working compass system and we're going to be adding our enemy very soon, the thing that comes after all of that is adding people to talk to who will give us quests, and they'll tell us to go to specific places. But it's going to be very hard for me to reference a specific site if it hasn't even been loaded yet. How do I know to create a compass image? Because I'm thinking about Oblivion. They had a nice little compass where you could follow what was on there. I say compass, I mean marker, like a marker on the compass which points you to the place that you need to go. And comparing that with Morrowind, Morrowind had quite a fun system where you'd go into your journal and you'd read the recording of what the person said. The person said, "Oh, follow this road and turn left." And I can't really do that because the fact that the positions are all going to be randomized. So a very cheap, quick solution, because we want to get this done nice and fast, is people will just tell you, "Oh, go to," and then they'll give you the name of the place. And if you haven't found the place, you won't know where it is. So you have to sort of go and explore the whole world to find all the sites. But once you find them, you'll know their names. So when somebody gives you a request to go to that place, you'll be like, "Oh, okay, they want me to go to that place." Or maybe when they give you the quest, it'll get added to your marker when they give you the quest, so that you can see, "Oh, there's a new thing on my map that wasn't there before, so I need to go here now," and I can see when I move over it that it's called this place, which was the place that they said. So that's the place I need to go. Something like that. Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good idea, just getting it to add to the thing when you get the quest, because that's an incentive to do quests, so that you don't have to go out and explore to find all the sites. You can kind of just do the quests, and the sites will sort of be revealed to you just by doing the quests. What else? Yeah, so talking about the order of things to do, I think tomorrow I'm going to spend most of the day just getting all this to work nicely, getting all this to look good, getting all this to be blank every time we press I to turn it on. Everything would start out empty unless we do click on an item, and then it should update appropriately. So tomorrow is mostly going to be getting that HUD looking really nice. And when that HUD is looking really nice, that's when I think we need to just tidy up and make sure that the weapons are all working properly. Like I was showing you, the arrows don't work properly, and the shield and the attacking doesn't work as expected. So I'm annoyed because those were problems that I had yesterday, and I thought I'd fix them today. And I was pretty sure that I fixed it, but I'm also very happy with the compass, so it's not a total failure. Because yeah, once the weapons are all working smoothly, and the HUD is working smoothly, what that will mean is that we'll be able to click here and we'll be able to pick up spell items in the world and click on them. And when we click on one, it will appear down there in the same way as when we pick up a weapon and it appears down there. So once we can select our spells and we can use all of our weapons very smoothly, and we can view all of our stats, and I've had a think about what stats we're going to even have, then we can add an enemy. And once we add the enemy will be using the raycasting sword to begin with, and then we'll include an enemy with a bow and possibly an enemy with a mace. But we don't really need to, because they're going to be using the raycasting. We'll need to eventually, but once we have at least one of those enemies working, then we can go on to letting it be so that when this spell is selected and we press C, we will shoot the spell out of our hand, or cast the spell onto ourselves, depending what type of spell it is. And then I'll make the enemies cast spells at the player as well, because it's that logic of firing a projectile rather than firing a raycast. And once the enemies are working properly, all happy with that, with the blocking and the attacking, then we can move on to getting the fourth page, the world map working, which is what I was describing about the flashing dot. and the names of the different sites, get all that stuff working well. Once all that's looking good, and I'm happy with that, then we can move on to adding people, and we have to then make an entire dialogue system, which is probably going to take a little while too. But once we have a dialogue system working and we're happy with that, then we can start doing our framework for basically how the quest system is actually going to work, how they're going to display in here, how they'll appear and update. And yeah, can we, turn on and off different locations on the map based on if the player has discovered them or if somebody has told them about it, things like that. Because then we'll be able to go talk to the guy in the house and he's going to say, oh hey, can you visit a place with a specific name? There's a monster in there, can you go kill it? And then we'll be able to go out of the house and look at the map and go, oh okay, there wasn't any sites, but now there's one site, and we can hover our mouse over the site and we can see the name of that site, and now we can use our compass to kind of get to that site, because we'll be able to see where we are on the map updating, because we'll have a flashing dot for wherever we are standing. And so we'll be able to navigate to the place that the quest has directed us to, and we'll be able to fight the monster and kill the monster, and then go back to the town and they'll say thank you very much, and we'll be able to see all of the different stages of that quest updating appropriately. And I guess it would be nice to have completed quests, active quests, world map, and then something else, something like that. And so it'll be nice to see it moving from active quests to completed quests, so that we're kind of almost there. Like, there's still going to be a lot of refinement. One of the things I really want is swimming. And thinking about why I want swimming, as you saw on the world map, the ocean is just kind of the border of the game. There's nothing really beyond the ocean. The game sort of ends there. So why would I want to let players swim and potentially reach the edge of the world when there's not really going to be any interesting stuff in there? I'm just going to the ocean now so that I can look at it while we talk about it. But I think that being underwater is really thematic, really nice, and I think people will be annoyed if there's water here and then they just die if they jump in it. And they're going to want to jump in it, they're going to try, so I kind of got to let them go underwater and explore. But another thing is just giving myself more options for decorating the interior of the world. I'm not really going to do any rivers, because rivers would kind of be something that would go from one block to another. So all the water has to sort of be isolated to a single tile. And so we'll have pools, like we'll have a bunch of pools with a little stream and a waterfall, or we'll have one that's like a big lake or something. And that's just a way to kind of break up the monotony of having mountains and forests. But also with the dungeons, it'd be really nice to have water not just on that external tile, but incorporating water into the interior exploration of the dungeon. Because I think, yeah, just being underwater is really thematic, really nice, and it would be nice to have some kind of gameplay use besides just exploring the bounds of the game. Boundaries, I should say. Anything else I'm thinking of? I think that's it. I talked about water. Oh yeah, I got to add towns in. And think about how they're going to be associated with questing, like it might just be another way for me to add more stages to quests. Like, you'll get the quest in the city, and the quest in the city will be, can you visit this town and talk to this person? So you visit this town and talk to this person, and then this person says, can you visit this place to kill this monster? Just so that I can kind of tie them in a little bit. Because in my head, I thought it doesn't make sense that this island would only have one town, one big city right in the middle. It makes more sense that there would be like little villages. So that's why I want to include them. And yeah, giving myself more options. So like with the caves, it'd be really nice if you discover a cave site, but the cave site is in fact just a great lake, and you have to dive into the lake and swim down to find the entrance to the cave. So using water to kind of conceal some parts of the level design would be quite nice. I think that's pretty much it. Just to go over it one more time, tomorrow I'm going to be getting all this stuff working, and I'm going to make sure that all those weapons are working smoothly, because they're pretty much there. I just need to make it so that the where are we? So that the sword and the mace don't attack when the shield is being used. And I need to make it so that the arrows don't break the inventory. I picked up the arrows, didn't I? Oh well, we can still switch between them this way. But like, I'm pretty happy that... let me show you again, just so that you can see without the shield. You know, we'll start the game like this, and we got our 3 weapons. I mean, we're going to start the game with just the sword. And I'm thinking the shield probably come pretty early on. But as you can see, lots of decision making to be had. But our bow works lovely and smooth. And we can pick up the shield, but it's not apparent until we now equip these ones. And we can now see our shield, which is lovely. But making these work properly is one thing to do. And making this so that it doesn't, for whatever reason, break the... Oh, I know what it is actually. It's that flashing effect. So that flashing effect has not been destroyed. The flashing effect is still on the screen. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, if we pick up the arrows first, and then we pick up this one, now the flash should be destroyed. No. So I think this one's creating its own flash, and the flash isn't getting destroyed, and that's why it's blocking the ability to click here. So I might be able to fix that pretty easily. I just need to make it so that that flash gets destroyed after it does its thing. And then that'll be that problem fixed, and I'm pretty sure this problem's going to be pretty easy. So we're almost there with the weapon system, getting it all finished and refined, because there's just 2 bugs, and I can already think about it in my head and be like, yeah, that doesn't seem too difficult. But hey, something we haven't done yet, something that needs to be done. Save, load. Hey, that's good. I was thinking like, I'm not entirely sure if those icons are going to save, or if the compass will save, or if the health will save. I don't think the health is going to save. Pretty sure the health is always going to be 100. Yeah, the health is going to go back to 100. Yeah. So saving and loading stats. Happy some of the HUD stuff is all working, because that all happens during runtime. It's not like a setting that gets set and then needs to be saved. So yeah, I think that's about it. I'm going to wrap up now. Say bye-bye. Have a lovely time.